Welcome to That's Football. It's the football roundup. I've not put much content in here for a while. We've done a lot of watch-alongs, but I want to start getting into the general football debate, especially at the business end of the season. Liverpool or Manchester City for the title, be talking about that, but also the development as well of the race for top four. It's massively interesting, Spurs are getting pulled in. They play Arsenal this weekend. You've got Chelsea. Do you trust them? Manchester United. So loads and loads to get involved with. And also the big hot topic that I think is going to have a massive impact on the title and the race for top four. It's Europe. It's not Brexit Europe, it's literally Europe. Arsenal are in Europe in the Emmerdale Cup with Chelsea. Liverpool's still in the Champions League, as are Man City, as are Spurs, as are Manchester United. All six still in Europe. Maybe not in a couple of weeks' time. I think United obviously probably will drop out with PSG. Maybe Dortmund can turn it around against Spurs. Bayern Munich should probably put Liverpool out, although never count them away. They've not been great away in the Champions League this year. But Man City, I think, will progress. I think Arsenal are going to progress. But will that ultimately mean that City don't win the league and Liverpool do, and Arsenal drop out of top four? Europe could be the thing that has a massive impact on this season. We're going to talk Spurs and Arsenal, but I want to start off with Liverpool and Man City. A lot of people do ask me, where do you stand on the title race? Well, to be honest with you, I stand in a darkened room with a bird box bloody thing around my eyes, not wanting to look at Sky Sports News and see what is absolutely there in front of my eyes, which is Liverpool and Manchester City are going to win this title. I don't like Liverpool because, in a respectful way, they don't like Manchester United the same because we are massive rivals. So I don't want Liverpool to win the title. But Man City winning the title, again, isn't exactly pleasing on the stomach either. I think Liverpool are going to win the title. I've said this a few times, so I'm not being sensationalist. I think Liverpool are going to win the title. I think that this is almost the perfect time to have this discussion because I think if Liverpool beat Everton on Sunday, which I think they will, I think their running is there for them to win the title. Manchester City need Liverpool to drop points against Everton. Now, a draw would be perfect for City, but I don't trust Manchester City. Louise O'Donoghue, I'm not forgetting Chelsea. I'm not forgetting Chelsea at all. I'll tell you why in a moment. But I think that I don't trust Manchester City. I think even in midweek, when we thought they were over that blip of losing to Palace and Leicester and Newcastle, 3 bad losses there that have really given the impetus to Liverpool. But even in midweek against West Ham, soft penalty, probably was a penalty, but you wouldn't have complained if it hadn't been given. That was the only goal they had against West Ham at home. So I just think Man City, when they come up against these lower league teams, they are likely to slip up again. Whereas Liverpool seem to be, I look at their fixtures and I think they pretty much can win it. I know they've got Chelsea and I know they've got Spurs at Anfield, but Chelsea will get beat at Anfield, and I think Spurs are much improved on their travels, but I'd still put Liverpool favourites. So I think it's going to be Liverpool's year. I really do. And I hate to say it, but I do. I do not trust Man City. And also, I think Man City, when you look at their fixtures that they've got left, they've got to go to United, and whatever Liverpool fans think, there is no way we as Manchester United will throw that game. We will need to win that game. We will need points from that game. We will not throw the game just to stop you winning the title. That will not happen because we will not be comfortable for top four and we will need something out of that game. Simple as that. And also, I think there's a professional element to it as well. And the second thing as well about Manchester City is they're going to go deep into the Champions League without question. They're through this first one against Schalke. They're going to go at least another 2 games. Whereas I think Liverpool, whether they'll get through Bayern Munich or not, I don't know. But if they don't, they're not in the FA Cup. The Carabao Cup is done. They've just got to focus on the league. So I think Liverpool are firm favourites with 1 point ahead of them. I really, really do. Liverpool for the title, says Lee Price. Pathetic mentality, typical United fan, you see, says Jezza Kyle. If you don't give us why, I can't put you in your place. Liverpool are always prone to bottle it, says Ed. Well, that's something that I was going to mention anyway. It's whether Liverpool will get nervous. I mean, they were very poor against Manchester United's reserves last weekend, but, you know, I think the fixtures there, I mean, and also, let me just say, when people look at fixtures, they go, oh, look, they've got Huddersfield, they've got this, they've got that. Let's not forget, teams who are in the relegation battle suddenly, may have been crap all season, they suddenly turn into prime Barcelona when they realise that they're going to get a wage reduction and their bonuses are going down because they're going in the Championship. So there will be shocks along the way. Liverpool will drop points in unexpected places, says George Kyle. There you go. Sounds very sinister, but I know what you thinks. Malaki Hickling says, Mark, do you think Spurs will win Arsenal tomorrow? Well, let's talk about the top four. I want to talk about Brendan Rodgers as new manager of Leicester as well. I think that's very interesting in the wider demographic of football. And Celtic fans obviously very annoyed by it, but I have a theory on that. But Spurs Arsenal tomorrow. 4 points between Arsenal and Spurs, and 5 points between Manchester United and Spurs. So if Arsenal win, they'll be a point behind Spurs in third place, and United, if they beat Southampton, as I expect, would be 2 points behind them. Spurs are in trouble. They've got to go to Liverpool. They've got to go to Manchester City, and Arsenal have a preferable run in, but the old Emmerdale Cup. I don't believe that it doesn't matter who your opposition is. I think if you go deep into the Emmerdale Cup, it's going to impact on your league form. And Arsenal don't have a great depth of squad. So I think Arsenal have a decision to make. And maybe that decision will be made if they get a result against Arsenal tomorrow. Against Spurs tomorrow. It's at Wembley. It is a North London derby. I'm leaning towards Arsenal simply because I think Spurs just are probably feeling sorry for themselves a little bit, which is surprising because they're getting all their injured players back. They were better when they had all the injured players. There was that mentality, that come together, that winning late on in games, and they've just seemed to have lost their way a little bit. But I cannot. Can they? They're a better team than Arsenal on paper. I know Arsenal fans don't want to see that, but you've got the momentum going into the game. I think the winner tomorrow could well be Manchester United and maybe Chelsea as well. Chelsea have got a winnable game, so have Manchester United. If these two, whatever happens in this scenario, as long as Chelsea and United win, they will be closer to third. Because if Spurs lose, there's no gap. That 5 point gap's coming down. If Arsenal lose, they're going to get closer to fourth, maybe even bypass Arsenal. So it really is an interesting game, and especially with a week on Sunday, Manchester United going to Arsenal as well. So I just got a funny feeling that Arsenal will get a result. Although, if you want an honest opinion from me, I personally would rather Spurs get the result. I think United just need to focus on that fourth place at the moment. Remember, we were dead and buried at Christmas. We weren't even in this race. So, yes, it would be nice if Spurs came down into it. But I look at the fixtures and I think Arsenal's fixtures are pretty good. I would rather Spurs beat Arsenal, because then I think Spurs will get beat at Anfield and at the Etihad. So that's 6 points they'll drop anyway. So could do with Arsenal dropping with some points tomorrow. But very interesting. I think Manchester City and Liverpool is going to be all the way until May. And I think the race for top four is going to go the same. So very, very, very interesting in relation to the Premier League at the moment. Quickly on Brendan Rodgers, before I have a look at some of your comments. Brendan Rodgers to Leicester put a few Celtic fans out of joint. It really, really did. And I think that regardless of what you think about that, Celtic are a massive club. I lived in Ireland for 3 years and they're a massively supported club. No issues with that at all. I don't think anybody does. But I think that the issue that you've got there is that, well, you know what? Are Celtic comparable to Leicester in the Premier League? And I don't think that they are. And I think that is why Brendan Rodgers has gone there. Celtic are a massive club, but they suffer from the fact that they're playing in a league that is just not that competitive. It's not financially as well off as Leicester would be in the Premier League. And it's more of a challenge for Brendan Rodgers. And it's a sad state of affairs, because I think in my lifetime, Celtic and Rangers have been comparable in some ways to certainly the mid-table teams of the Premier League. But where you'd pitch Celtic and Rangers now, they're probably the equivalent of a championship team. Not in relation to fan base, not in relation to size of club, but in relation to the pull of that club. I mean, Neil Lennon's gone there now. Where did Neil Lennon fail in the Championship? I can't remember where he went, but that's the sad state of affairs of Scottish football. The standard and where they are viewed in relation to English football is probably as a Championship side. I wasn't surprised. I was one of those people that Brendan Rodgers, when he went to Leicester, I wasn't surprised, because, you know, Celtic are a much bigger club, but the money that Leicester get for being in the Premier League and the status and also, let's not forget, I said this when United played Leicester. I wasn't surprised when Leicester drew with Liverpool. 1-11, very, very good team. And if you listen to, was it Robert Huth or somebody was saying about Puel that he was like very, very negative and they want to play in a more attractive way, I think you'll see a big improvement in Leicester. I think 1 to 11, they're a good team. Schmeichel's good, Pereira at right back, you've got Evans and Maguire, you've got Chilwell, very good left back, their midfield, you know, they've got Tielemans on loan, they've got Ndidi, they've got Mendy, they've got Maddison, they've got Vardy, they've got Damari Gray, they've got some really, really good players, and apparently he's going to get some money to add to that. So I think Leicester have been underachieving this season. And I think for Brendan Rodgers, it's a good job. A very, very good job. Celtic have Champions League football, but when was the last time they did well there, says Sam House. The trouble with Celtic is it's very similar to the problem that Newcastle have. Those days of being able to attract these top players are becoming far, far, far more difficult. And that's because the Premier League is so rich. And that is why you get teams like Fulham, who've sacked their second manager in a season. I tell you what, I bloody love it when crap owners make an absolute mess of an opportunity and you're going to get relegated. And I know that's not fair on the fans, but I'm sure Hugh Grant can deal with it. But Fulham, the arrogance of Fulham, spending a load of money on a team that got them promoted, sacking that manager who was, you know, deserved a little bit longer, and then Ranieri comes in. Oh, it's not instant gratification, so off he goes. So I can't wait for Fulham to get relegated, and that's nothing against Fulham fans. That is totally about the ownership there. But that's the prime example. People like Fulham have got loads of money, and that, you know, 10, 20 years ago that wasn't the case. Celtic would have a budget that could compete with any team outside the top 6 in England. Now the Celtic budget would struggle to probably compete with an Aston Villa in the Championship. It's a changing of the football world, and that has been indicated and certainly verified and confirmed by the fact that Brendan Rodgers has walked away from Celtic to go to Leicester City. Manchester City, please win it, says Dark Halls. Liverpool never win the Premier League, says Il Saban. Celtic has some talent too. Rodgers will probably bring some of the guys over, says Nick Archer. Exactly. Kieran Tierney. Well, you'd be surprised if he went to Leicester because they've got Ben Chilwell. United are not a small club, though, says Sam Howells. I don't know who's saying that. And Lewis O'Donoghue says Puel was a fool. He focused too much on the defence instead of attacking play, a bit like Mourinho. And Ryan Sessegnon, Mark, would you take him, says Temper Fusion. And, well, I think he will be leaving Fulham this summer. They're going back to the Championship, aren't they? And good riddance. I think when you are sacking 2 managers in one season, those managers may have failed, but you have failed as an owner. You should not be sacking. Well, actually, let's be honest. We're only at the start of March. You know, there's still 2.5 months left of this season, and Fulham have sacked 2 managers. It's appalling, absolutely appalling. Mark, what are your thoughts on teams that get relegated from the Premier League, says Rug. Not a lot. They're in the Championship. What are your thoughts on Aberdeen? Says, I've always had a soft spot for Aberdeen because of what Sir Alex Ferguson did with them, but the Scottish League, it's very hard to get excited about now. When I was growing up, you did used to pay more attention to it. Like, I remember Rangers having people like, you know, Ali McCoist and, you know, Gattuso, and you remember Celtic with Henrik Larsson. They were on English news quite a lot. You don't really notice anything about Scottish football anymore. We should all go out for Wan-Bissaka to replace Valencia, says George Kyle. And Moussa Dembele is a good striker at Celtic too, says Nick Archer. It is. He is a good striker. But a massive weekend for football. Manchester United have got to beat Southampton tomorrow without a shadow of a doubt. And also, I think that the Arsenal Spurs game sets the weekend up absolutely brilliantly, because Manchester United will know at 3 o'clock. Chelsea will know what the score in that Arsenal Spurs game is. Ideally, I'd probably say a point's good. I think a draw is the best result for Manchester United and Chelsea. My second favourite result would Arsenal loss, and then obviously third result would be Spurs. There is no fourth result. There's only 3 scenarios. Anyway, smash a like on the video. I want a punchy weekly show about these sort of things. A little bit of topical, a little bit of the weekend. Let's keep it punchy on That's Football. Talking about That's Football, this is the channel where we do more generic things. I do my FIFA. I've got my Football Manager thing starting on Monday, which is Aston Villa this time. Next week, we've got Spurs versus Dortmund watch-along, and probably on Sunday, Liverpool versus Everton watch-along. So this is the channel where we do watch-alongs. This sort of stuff, if you like it, get in the comments. Subscribe if you're new, bottom right-hand corner. Big end to the season. We're going to have lots of stuff on here for you. I'll speak to you all very soon. I'll be on the United Stand at 8 o'clock tonight. Thanks for watching. I've gone high-pitched and I don't know why. I can't stop. It's getting higher and higher. I've got to stop this video. Oh my God, I'm getting so bloody loud. Stop.